My friend's Rufus Wainwright. How's life?
Very good.
Nice to see you, man. Your CD says you're the world's greatest entertainer.
Well, that's a bit of a cheeky trick because that's more of a promotion for the Judy Garland album, which is coming out in September, and that's what they dubbed Judy Garland was the world's greatest entertainer.
Yeah, so I'll ask you about Judy Garland in a second.
Yes.
This record recorded mostly in Germany.
But I am the world's greatest entertainer. You're right.
There you go. Recorded mostly in Germany?
Mostly in Germany, yeah. No, we did. I initially started in Brooklyn, and then I went to Germany. Yeah.
I'll ask you a question. Going someplace like that, did you spend a lot of time in Germany before?
I was there for the... no, I hadn't been there a lot.
When you go that far away, because it's not like you went from Brooklyn to Queens. I mean, you went way the hell over there to make the record. What was the reason for it? Well,
my boyfriend, who now lives with me in New York, he at the time was living in Germany, so I was going there to, you know, test out the waters, and if
it didn't work, you could escape, right?
Do a little surfing, love surf, and then so that worked out really well, and also I have to say, I mean, I've spent a lot of time in England. And so forth, but I've always wanted to work on the continent, in sort of the heart of Europe, in a foreign country where
this record
they don't understand.
Debuted at #2 in the UK.
Yeah, it's doing really, really well in England.
Do you pay much attention to those sorts of things?
Well, now that I have some concept of finances, before I didn't, but now I'm pleased when it's good.
Yeah. When you get named the Artist of the Year or whatever, Best New Artist in Rolling Stone.
Yeah. I wasn't aware at the time how big that was. That I didn't pay attention to at the time.
And I wonder what it's like years later.
Well, a lot's gone on. Yeah. Other things have gone on. Yeah.
Well, life has gone on, and your life has had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. No, I think what happened with me is that I was dubbed sort of the Best New Artist of the year, and then subsequently, I didn't get any #1 hits, and it was, what I did didn't sort of fit immediately into the system, and so I sort of had to, it was a bit of a letdown, actually, but subsequently I had to sort of morph into very many different things. I had to do a lot of film work, like film soundtracks, and do a lot of, pursue my interest in opera and continue, in order to just maintain my own sensibilities and not totally, end up a lounge singer.
But, I mean, it's one of those things where because that is a reality for every artist who has a very big introduction to the market, and they need to make those very conscious decisions to make sure they actually have a career. Yeah, I think if anything, saying, best entertainer on the world or whatever, I mean, the truth of that would be probably the most tenacious entertainer on the planet, who's, despite everything, has really kind of held on and stayed, true to what he does. And now there's a certain payoff. What's the difference making a record as a man as opposed to being a boy?
Big difference, big difference. Well, one thing is that, you have to, I'm not as prone to, be excited for the video these days, because I'm not such a skinny bastard as I was before. So you're sort of, you have to be very, in terms of the whole, public section of it, you become a little more wary, and so you have to be more selective and more kind of, you really got to pace yourself in that department. But then in musically though, it's so much easier. I mean, there's so much more confidence and knowledge, incurred over the years that it's you can be quite fierce. How much
did the fact that your mother was sick impact that?
Very much. I mean, my mother right now is doing incredibly well. We've really, gotten through her illness at the moment. But at the time, nonetheless, when I was recording, she had several major operations, and I mean, it was horrific. I don't want to ever have to go through it again, but I will. Like everybody has to face mortality at certain moments in their lives. So it's nothing uncommon.
Is there anything that replaces that moment when you first see fear in your mother's eyes?
No. I mean, I did have an amazing experience with that. Maybe you read something, I don't know.
No, we all do. We all see our parents as they get older.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, because my initial reaction when I first, through all of this, was, utter uselessness. I mean, I just felt completely powerless and unable to handle anything. And then the minute I saw fear in her eyes, I immediately changed and shifted into a man. It was like it was like seeing the obelisk in 2001 or something. Like I went from being a monkey to a white guy, and whatever, that was weird. But it was very, it was very, it was really profound. That sort of transformation.
And then when you sit down and actually put pen to paper or whatever and write a song, is it different for you? Because as an artist, I'm not saying you necessarily, but artists in general, anybody, especially younger guys, have a tendency to have their head up their ass longer than they need to.
Right.
And then when they finally go, oh, wait a minute, I have a different way of approaching life, it can change your art.
Well, I think the whole concept of time really changes. I mean, certainly when I wrote songs when I was younger, there was no sense of an end. I mean, it was you could muse till the cows and then the sheep and then the pigs came home. I mean, it didn't really matter. But now, after life, you pass for a while, you realize how short everything is and how quickly everything goes. So there's more of an urgency in my songwriting now in terms of getting the message across or trying to rectify or explore new things. I mean, but it has to be done now. It's not in the future, it's now.
Has your musical hero changed? Like, have you ever looked at somebody and said, I'd like, their career is a good career, and now that you're at this stage of your life, have you said, I don't really want that, this is what I want?
No, I've stayed pretty true to my musical heroes. I mean, I'm a big opera fanatic, and the great composers are still there. They're still my main dudes. Verdi, especially, and Wagner.
It's not really going to go anywhere, are they?
No, I know. What's great is that it's all pretty encapsulated.
Well, but it's
their
the
story.
That stuff is the most timeless stuff ever, though. And I wonder, as an artist today making records that really reach people, do you ever listen to your music and wonder if it'll be timeless?
Well, I mean, that's the goal. I'm assuming that it will be, just because. That's what I want it to be, I mean, I've always been very. A lot of people have mistaken my kind of confidence as a type of arrogance, because I will say things like I'm a great songwriter, or I'm a great performer or whatever. But I do really try to do that, and that is my ultimate goal, and so as long as I keep saying it, I have to kind of deliver, because if I say, oh, I'm crap, then usually you will become crap,
The ogre in the Oval Office.
Well, I'll just become crap.
The ogre in the Oval Office, your political thing. I mean,
you mean the ogre?
The ogre, yeah.
Yeah, the Oval.
No, the ogre in the Oval Office.
Yeah, the ogre in the Oval Office. Yes.
How much do you pay attention?
I recently hung out with his brother's ex-wife. Sharon Bush.
Yeah.
She was married to his brother, and she's one of the she's now the black sheep of the Bush Empire, and we had a long talk, and it's scary stuff.
Is it?
Oh yeah. I mean, we didn't get that deep into it, but you definitely. I think a lot of those sort of cloak and dagger, Dallas-like, dramas. There's a grain of truth in that whole story. I mean, someone was saying it the other day that if you look at the Clintons and the Bushes, it's been something like 28 years.
Yeah, the last 28, there's been a Bush in the White House.
Yeah, a Bush or a Clinton.
Yeah.
So it's between these two families. There's like it's like a Machiavellian or Shakespearean kind of Romeo and Juliet, Bush-Clinton thing going on.
Masquerading as a democracy. Yeah. Release the Stars is the name of the brand new record. It's good to see you again. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Rufus Wainwright, everybody. All right. There's still a lot more.